dysfunctional vet here. If you look, you'll notice that my come along is all played out. I have a tree that I'm taking down. The tree is not terribly large. It's probably no more than 4 inches in diameter, but it's substantially tall. If it comes down, it's going to knock my dog fence down. The tree is broken, which means I can't cut it. It's also hung up in other trees, which means if I do cut it, I'm going to get hit by debris. So what do we do if I'm all played out with my come along and it's not coming down? I'm going to show you how to do this. This is advanced rope techniques. What I have to do is tie onto this tree. Once I'm tied to the tree, then I have to come down here past this knot right there and tie onto that rope. But that rope is very, very tight. So what I'll be doing is I'm going to make a loop around this tree. I'm going to come back out here, I'm going to tie a taut line hitch and then tie onto the tree, and I'm going to show you that up close and personal. So as soon as I have that set up, I'll turn the camera back on. Be advised, this is going to be somewhat heavily edited so that I only give you the meat of the information and not a lot of superfluous information. Alright, here's my rope laid out. I have my rope and it's hanging over the one that I'm going to tie onto, and it follows it back and it goes around the tree. Now understand something, when I start to release the come along, this rope is going to stretch just a little bit before it takes up the slack, but it will still hold that tree in tension where it's at. The knot that I'm going to use is going to be a bowline. You've seen that one before. The rabbit comes out of the hole. We've got a lot of tail here because we're going to need that in just a minute. Around the root, or around the tree, and back into the hole. Alright, we have our bowline. Alright, up here, about 6 to 8 feet past this rope, because I didn't play out enough rope, we're going to use a modified taut line hitch. We come around, slide this down where you can see it, come around, come around, come around, pull that little baby tight. Then we come down here and we put the finishing touch, taut line hitch. A tent deal, and it's used for holding tension on a tent. Make sure we have it tight. This is a taut line hitch. I'm distracted by what I'm doing. I just hang this tail in there just to get it out of the way. Now we're going to release the pressure on the come along, and you should see a little bit of change, but this rope right here will take up slack. Let me back this off a little bit. This rope is going to take up some slack, and then this other one will just release. So as we flip our come along into the release position, alright, if you notice, this rope has taken up the slack. It's released the pressure a little bit, which is okay. We're not worried about that too much. Now we can release this, And what we'll do is we'll play out a little bit of slack here real quick. Okay, my come along had run out of pulling power because I used a short one to begin with. I've put a bowline on here. From here, I come down over here, I put a taut line hitch in it, release the pressure, and that taut line hitch holds the rope. Another knot that you can use, which is a really good one, is called a Persic knot. That's my favorite, is a Persic. I just happen to use this due to a couple of technical issues, which I won't get into at this moment. Now, the next thing to do is to suck up the slack here and pull this second time on this little tree that I'm trying to keep from falling and doing the property damage. As I say, this tree is broken at the bottom and it's hung up in trees. There's no way that I'm going to cut this thing without the tree either falling on me, the top of it, or it doing property damage. If you look right there, you can see that I could only stretch the rope about as far as where I'm tied on. I could have extended it further, and if I have to do this a third time, I will. But now we're ready to pull the slack off of it, so let's see what happens. With the tree on the ground, this looks like a big mess to clean up, but it's really not. Let me show you this, just so you know that what I'm telling you is good information. Let me lock the camera. All right, first, this one, okay? Oops. Taut line hitch is out. Next one, on the hook. Let me make sure you can see the hook. Next one is on the hook. Pull the slack, take it off, and you're done. Let me change the camera angle. Okay, this is the bowline on the tree, right? Pop this little sucker up. Pull the tail out, and if you remember, the tail is very long. We'll bundle this up so it goes a little quicker now. Put this through here. Voila. The rope is free except for where it's tied to the tree. And we'll release the chain. We'll pick up the come along. We'll pick up the pulling bar. We'll wind up the rope. And we will call this a success. To recap, the come along didn't have enough stretch in it to break the tree because it's rotted and it's falling down. I didn't want it to do property damage. I pulled the slack until I had no more slack. I tied onto the tree using a bowline. I ran the tail of the rope out and I tied a timber hitch down there, a substantially long timber hitch, pulled it really tight, released the tension on the come along, re-stretched the come along, then pulled my additional tension to snap off the tree. The part where it broke is about 3 inches in diameter, and something to keep in mind, the simple deal is it's the weight multiplied by the distance plus the weight equals the impact pressure. That's a real simple, that's not getting into the deep physics of things. So if that thing weighed 50 pounds and it had fallen on me from 6 feet, that's 300 pounds of force plus that 350 pounds, which would have gone right through my skin, broken bones, and done injury. When you're working with trees, don't play with them. They kill people. There is a reason why they call them widowmakers. With that, Dysfunctional Vet's going to wind all my stuff up and bid all of you a good day. Thank you for watching. the root system had rotted off at the base and it was falling across. This dead tree that you see right here came down. It was not part of the original tree. It came down when the other tree fell. Let me get over here where I can show you this. This is where the tree broke. It's a little above my head, maybe about 6'6", thereabouts. It's pretty rotted. There's nothing to write home about in that. There's my dog with the floppy ear. By the way, he is a purebred German Shepherd. Has a lot of birth defects. Not to mention the fact he's got a black tongue. He's a good dog. This was the firstborn of the Polar Gang, hence they're called the Polar Gang. His dad absolutely refused to pay puppy support until there was a paternity test, because one, he doesn't have any spots on his tongue, and two, he's white, the only one. Actually, there was a second one, it died, and there was another one that had his coloration and it died. In fact, they died the first day they were born, which is kind of sad. So I'm down to only a mere 13 German Shepherds. Way too many, but I love them.